Hey guys, it's Elle. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm here with a video chatting about my December wrap up. All of the books that I read the last month of the year of 2024. I actually read a lot of really awesome books. I read 11 books and most of them were 5 stars. So that's really exciting. The first book I read in December was Funny Feeling by Emily Henry. This was such a fun romance and like the best segue back into my Emily Henry era. So this one follows our heroine who she just got broken up with the person that she thought she was going to spend the rest of her life with. And the same thing happened to the hero. And actually their exes ended up getting together and are engaged. And it is so crazy. So she is just at a really low point in her life and she ends up moving in with the hero and they're roommates and they're just both like so depressed and like, what happened to my life? And she is also a librarian. And they find out that their exes are getting married and they invited them to the wedding. And they're like, this is crazy. We should clap back at them. Like, what if we fake date and like get back at them? So they agree to do that. And it is so good. These characters are both like just so awkward and just hilarious that you can't help but like falling for the characters. And it's just so cute, so wholesome. I love this one. And I love how like we got to see just like the character development of both of these characters and them realizing that, you know what, I didn't end up with the person I thought I was going to, but I found love with you and this is like so much better than anything I could have imagined. And I just love this so much. I love like they would go on these really cute dates in the small town in Michigan during the summer. And she's a librarian, so we get a lot of that content and it was just so good and I love this one so much. 5 stars, amazing. Then for a Christmas romance, I read The Season of Secrets by QB Tyler. This was a really fun office boss romance. So it is a novella. The heroine, she is new in the position at this office and she gets invited to the office party and she kind of like thought that her boss was cute, but like was like, no, like that would never happen. And they end up like having a moment at the office party and it spurs on this whole night of having a one-night stand and going for it with each other. And it is a novella, so that's why everything is like so fast-paced. And he was like obsessed with her since he met her when they hired her, but obviously that was like not okay, like as a boss to like be like, oh, I'm gonna hire you because you're cute. But they just have this like amazing chemistry, amazing attraction to each other. He is a lot older. This is very smutty and spicy and a lot of fun. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. It was a really great, quick Christmas romance. I listened to it on audio. It was just so much fun. And I love QB Tyler and how she can like mix forbidden and like spice in the perfect combination. And it was so good. Then I read Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. This is a fantasy romance and the heroine, she is a necromancer and she recently like lost her mom and her sister are just like going through the grieving process and all of that. And her sister ends up going missing and she finds out that her sister might be in this game, this trial game called Phantasma. And so she goes to this manor to figure out where her sister is, thinking that she'd be there. And the heroine ends up being entered into the game Phantasma. And Phantasma is this game of like trials. So like each level in Phantasma, you are closer to like death, but also you are going through like the hardest like trial. And she's trying to find her sister and figures out that she's in the game of Phantasma. So she ends up partnering up with the hero who is like a demon / ghoul. And he ends up being her sponsor throughout the trials. And they end up having this insane chemistry and attraction towards each other. And there's just like a lot going on in this book. And it's very, very fast paced. And it is so good because she could like die at any moment in the trials. And it is just like so fast paced, lots of twists and turns, secrets being revealed. It's so much fun. And I love this so much. And the fun thing is that this is a standalone fantasy in the series. So you could just read this and like have their HEA. But I love this one. It was so good. It was like fast paced and so like interesting with these trials, and like what was happening with that, and each level was different. And like figuring out the hero's identity because he doesn't remember who he is. So there's like mystery with that. And I just loved it. It was so good. I gave this one 5 stars. It was a great fantasy romance. Then I read In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. This is the second book in the Love Light Farm series. And I love this so much. I ended up giving this one 5 stars. So the hero and the heroine had a one-night stand like a year ago, and she's coming back to this small town, or to this town she's like an influencer, and she's trying to get buzz around this Christmas tree farm that we saw in the first book. And she sees Beckett for the first time, and she didn't know that he would be there because they had their one-night stand like a different city. But anyways, they still have attraction for each other, and I think she ends up having to like stay with him, near him, and they're both just like very awkward characters, and they both like each other so much, but they don't want to like admit that to the other person. And the heroine is going through stuff because she's really not feeling like she loves her job being an influencer anymore. So she's trying to like figure out what makes her happy, and it's just so good. And the small town is just like so meddling and trying to push them together to have a relationship and a romance. It is hilarious. I love this one. And they really both have to work through their fears of being in a relationship together. And it is so good. I gave this 5 stars. I loved it. Then I read Bourbon and Lies by Victoria Wilder on my Kindle. This is a really fantastic romantic small town romance. So the heroine, she is put in Witsack, and the hero doesn't know that, and she is placed like living on his ranch in Kentucky, and he and his brothers own a bourbon distillery, and she just like butts head with the hero all the time. I think used to be a cop, or is still a cop. I think he used to be a cop, and he lost his wife in the line of duty, and so he is just like really not keen to let anyone in. But they just like butt heads all the time and have such insane chemistry, and like he kind of can't help like falling for her. And it is so good. I love this one. I did feel like the beginning was a little bit slow, but once we got into like halfway through, I was hooked on the story, and it was so good. And there's suspense with the heroine's past and like why she's in Witsack, and just like a lot of like shenanigans on the ranch. And I really enjoyed it, and I loved how obsessed the hero became with her and really fell like first for her. And it was so good. I gave this 5 stars. I cannot wait to read Bourbon and Secrets by this author. Then I read another Christmas novella, which was by Lauren Asher, which is My December Darling. This one, I loved it so much. I listened to it on audio. It was fantastic. The heroine is coming back to she's coming back to the small town to like visit because of her sister's wedding. And she ends up like seeing the hero, and she, I think, is also like, they're both doctors, and she starts working at like the hospital. She's always had a crush on him, but has like never gone for it until they decide to kind of like start hanging out, and the hero like kind of goes after her. And it is so cute because she is just like so like awkward and just like has a lot of self-doubt about herself, and he's just like completely obsessed with her, and I loved it so much. And with like the Christmas romance aspect, it was fantastic. Loved it so much. Like, this one was fantastic. I just like loved it. It was so cute, and I loved like just how obsessed they were with each other, but like she was just scared to be in a relationship because she had never been in one before, and just felt like not as great as like a person like beauty wise compared to her sister, and made to like work through that. And this one was just so solid. I really enjoyed it. 5 stars. Then I read Reckless by Lauren Roberts. This is the second book in the Powerless trilogy, and we just pick up right where we left off with Powerless. I keep messing up the names. Anyways, this one was fantastic. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I really loved how we had like so much action in this one, and that the characters, the heroine and hero, weren't separated for like that long. So I hate in like fantasy romances when they're separated for a really long time and you're like, this is so boring. But This one was fast-paced and I really enjoyed it. That's all I'm really gonna say because I don't want to get into spoilers, but I gave it 5 stars. Really, really solid sequel, and I'm really excited for the 3rd book. Then I read For Lucy by Julie Ann. This is a really interesting romance. It's like unique and complicated. So this deals with the hero and heroine who were a married couple and they are divorced now, and they just like have so much like pain and angst in their relationship because the heroine really blames the hero for the death of their son, and she's kind of moved on, but he still like thinks of her as his wife and like still loves her and stuff. And so they have to like work through all of this trauma together, and Lucy is their daughter, and so they're dealing with co-parenting and just all of this stuff and still having feelings for each other, and like she's starting to move on but he still loves her, and it is just so angsty and just like such a darker, like heavier romance that deals with like the death of a child and all of this stuff. And it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I love like angsty romances, so this was perfect for me. I was a little annoyed with the hero because he self-sabotaged at the end, but I did really enjoy this. If you want a really angsty, like heavier emotional romance, I would pick this up. Then I read Happy Place by Emily Henry. I love this one. This is a second chance angsty romance where they basically have to fake date after being broken up. So the heroine, she's going on a trip to go visit her best friends at their spot in, I think it's like Maine. They would go every summer during college and visit there for the weekend, and the house is going to be sold, so they want to have like one last hurrah together, and she goes there and sees that the hero's there. And he's not supposed to be there because they broke up and none of their friends know. So they have to fake date in front of their best friends and prove to them that they're still in a relationship, and she's just like so annoyed with him and mad at him, but like he's still obsessed with her. And they both have to work through like why their relationship didn't work out. And it is so good. I love the friendships in this. It is the perfect summer read, set in Maine in the summer, and I just loved it so much. I'm obsessed with Wynn, by the way. Like, he's my new favorite. He's so cute, and I just loved their romance and like coming back together. It was so good. Then I have Heartless Hunter by Kristen Zaccarelli. This is another fantasy romance. I read a lot of fantasy romances in December, by the way, and I love this one. This one, our heroine, she is a witch, but she has to hide her identity because there are witch hunters and they hunt down witches in this fantasy world. And so I kind of like describe this as like if a historical romance was made into a fantasy romance. Like, she is a really high person in society, and so the hero is a witch hunter, and he starts courting her because he suspects that she is the Crimson Moth, which is kind of this like head of the witches, and they find out like if people are witches if they're like cutting themselves because they use blood for their magic, but she uses her period blood, so like it won't be detected. And it is really good because he has to court her in high society, and it's like a lot of fun, and they have like so much chemistry between them, but like he's like, I'm hunting you, but she doesn't know that. And this one is so good. It's very fast paced with a lot of like witch stuff happening and like crazy witches and like other witches being murdered and like all of this stuff. It's so good, and I cannot wait for Rebel Witch. I gave this one 5 stars. Definitely listen to it on audio. I loved it so much. And the last book I read in December, probably my favorite, was All the Missing Pieces by Catherine Cowles. This is her newest release, and it is fantastic. It is about a true crime podcaster who goes to the small town to do a case on someone that was abducted and kidnapped, and the small town sheriff is not too happy that she is there, and she really has to prove that she is there to not like harm anyone and like drudge up the past in a negative way, but to seek justice for the person that was kidnapped, and like she thinks it's related to this string of cases and all of this stuff. And it also is a sensitive subject for her because her sister disappeared, and so she's also trying to figure out if this is linked to her sister's disappearance. So we have a lot of different facets in this romance, and I loved it so much. And the hero, he is actually the brother of the girl who was kidnapped, and so the hero and heroine really do connect over like their shared trauma. And he really does not want her to be there at first, but he kind of like melts for her, and they end up starting to work on the case together. And I love this so much. I love the small town aspect of it. I love the uniqueness of her being a podcaster, but also being like one of the good ones who actually is trying to help these families. And it was so good. And I love her cat. He was hilarious. And she is like living in a van, and it was just like so atmospheric, and I loved it so much. And of course we have suspense with the person that is a part of these cases, and it is so good because the person has never been found, and I love this so much. Give it 5 stars. Highly recommend if you haven't read it yet. All right, well, that is the last book I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope you enjoyed hearing me chat about all of the books I read in December. I am so excited for the new year and to just like, I have so many ideas for videos I want to do, but I want to thank you so much, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.